I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Oops, the podcast. I'm Giulio Gallerati, joined by Francis Ellis. Francis, how you doing?
I'm excited. I'm excited,
dude.
Yeah, things are good. This has been a long week, dude. Long week.
What's the matter? What's going on?
I don't know. Just, man, the days are long.
Yeah.
And I'm, bored a little. Not in a negative way. Just, I need some action. I need something to happen.
I hear you.
Like, is it weird for me to say that I wish the presidential election were next month so that I could kind of get excited about that or something?
No, I mean, look, it's that's a fair thing, I guess, to think. Although it's looking like, they're pushing for that right now anyway. So
yeah. So Chris is telling us today's the 1-year anniversary of Oops the Podcast. Is that right?
I'm waiting for Chris.
Well, it's Saturday, but this is Friday's episode, so
hey, look at that!
Technically,
we're celebrating 1 year, baby.
Hey.
Oh yeah!
Hey,
So many podcasts don't make it to 1 year because people either realize that they're wasting their goddamn time, or someone dies or something, and neither of those things have happened. We've continued to grow and enjoy our blossoming friendship and our fan base, and we're so grateful. I know we say it a lot, but when we don't mean to get too sweet or cheesy, right? But this is really exciting. It's one of our favorite things to do. So, what are your thoughts on that, G?
Oh yeah, dude. It's been a wild ride, dude. So far, It's been a year. Thank you guys for supporting us the whole way, and for the new listeners, welcome. You got some catching up to do, but hopefully you have plenty of time to do that since there's so much going on right now. So
exactly. You know what we should do is we should create like a top 10 best episodes. We should have the listeners weigh in on which of their episodes are the favorites, so that people who are coming in or are new can go back and kind of listen to the greatest hits.
Love that, dude. It's nice to be at a point where you can even have greatest hits. Look at us, dude.
I know. We've done a lot of episodes. You and I talk every day, but I'm not daunted by it. I'm not daunted by the prospect of having to speak to you for 45 minutes, 3 days a week and make it interesting.
Oh, dude. No, yeah, same. It's great.
Yeah.
Look forward.
By the way, there's a hummingbird outside the window right now. Did you know that hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards?
I did not know that.
Well, Giulio, this is just another example of something I know that you don't. You know what I mean? You're always spitting rap facts at me. Like when we had Jesse Lingard on, you're like, Gunna's album's coming out. And I'm like, who the fuck is Gunna?
You got to get on that, bro. The Deluxe is fire.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
A lot of people talking about the Taylor Swift album.
Oh, yeah. Have you listened to that?
No, I didn't listen to it. I don't care for any of that shit. I don't really listen to music that much, to be honest with you. I got sick of music at some point in my life.
Do you listen to things?
I like silence. I like when I'm in the car, I like silence. I like to hear the wheels on the road. I also think it makes me a little bit more aware if there's a potential for an accident.
Okay, that's fair. That's definitely a cop-out. Like, that's just a convenient thing for you to say to cover up.
I'm going to defend this point. I'm going to die on this hill. Dude, when I am blasting music and singing to the top of my lungs and playing the steering wheel like it's a drum, the odds of me getting into an accident are far higher.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
If you notice, in every single movie where there's a driving scene happening, if there's music playing and like it's kind of unclear what the purpose of the scene is, it's going to end in a car accident.
Yeah, that and if there's someone in the front seat, in both front seats, well, there's always somebody driving, right? And they start talking to each other. The moment the driver actually turns to look and it's like, listen, I just don't want you throwing your whole life away. You're my daughter. And then wham, 16-wheeler T-boned her.
Yeah, that's true. The second they start fighting, it is over.
Mother dead, daughter forced to raise, grow up with the demons and hasn't spoken to her father in a while. Dude, here's a question I was wondering, okay? At what point, if both of your parents die, are you no longer allowed to call yourself an orphan?
Wow.
At what point do you age out of orphan?
Of orphandom?
Yeah. Because if you're 50 years old, right, and you lose your other parent, presumably the first one's already died, you can't say, "Oh, I can't believe I'm an orphan now."
You absolutely can't. Dude, I don't even know if a 16-year-old is allowed to call themselves an orphan.
Yeah, but I think a 16-year-old could theoretically check themselves into an orphanage.
Right. But then I worry that like they might think that, wait, could they?
I don't know, man. I don't even know where the orphanages are. Are they on Google Maps? Could I Google map the nearest orphanage?
I don't know. That's like, you'd think you could, but that's actually crazy.
I feel like orphanages probably aren't even a term that people use for them anymore. They're probably like youth raising centers or something.
All right. Like orphanage has definitely a negative stigma, mostly because I think they're haunted typically.
Well, that and Oliver Twist. You just assume everybody there is hungry.
Right. Please, sir.
Yeah.
May I have some more?
And they're all eating gruel. They're eating gruel and they're wearing threadbare newsboy caps and running through the smoky streets of London. That's when I think of an orphanage, that's what I think of.
Oliver.
Yeah. Or a place where beatings happen still.
Yes. Or sexual abuse.
Oh God.
It's fucked up.
Pity anybody who has to end up in an orphanage. It's sad.
Yeah. Here's a question. If you were an orphan, if you were like 16, you were an orphan. Here's the question though. If you're an orphan, can you even go to school? Like, don't you have to be adopted to go to school, or can you just go to school?
No, I think you can go to school. I think you could probably find a way to get there.
Would you leverage your title to try to get laid? Or would you be afraid that being an orphan would be something that like you didn't need people to know about you?
That's a great question. I don't know that it would help, get that sympathy sex. Maybe it would. I think that happens later in life. I think when you're like 25, you can get that sympathy because then there's going to be a girl who wants to like look after you and provide the love and support that she thinks you've been missing. Right?
Totally.
But the other thing that being an orphan would be really good for is writing an autobiography.
Absolutely.
A memoir, right?
Silver lining.
Yeah, because everyone says, oh my God, look at the story of this person. They grew up an orphan. That's such a compelling hook right there. Any publisher jumps right on that. Totally. Even if you don't accomplish anything. If you just grow up and let's say that you become a traffic cop, and you're an orphan, you can write an autobiography. My life, losing my parents to holding the stop sign on the popsicle stick. It's all full circle.
Yeah, dude, crazy.
Yeah. Do you know any orphans?
Man, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, it's funny because, I know people who are adopted and stuff like that, but I don't know that I know anybody who was like an orphan, like full on. I mean, an orphan, if we're going to get technical, I think you'd have to say that an orphan is a minor who has lost both parents, right?
Yeah, but it's like you said. I mean, if we're talking 17,
right?
You're barely an orphan.
The age of consent, where you can choose to rent an apartment.
The age of orphandom. Yeah.
The age of orphandom.
There's something about being a ward of the state, I think, where if you're 16 or 15 and you don't have a parent, you have to be adopted or you have to have someone, take guardianship over you, or else you get put into the system. I only know this from watching like Friday Night Lights or TV shows where players become ineligible because they've been living at the auto body shop or something.
Oh my God, so sad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, shout out to all the orphans out there. I mean, you had it fucking tough and you're sticking it out, and hopefully you're going to get a sick book deal.
Bingo. We will promote your book if you lost your parents before you turned 18.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, dude,
let's
listen.
get into it. We got some emails, don't we?
Look at us, right on the same fucking page there. In the spirit of our 1 year anniversary, I mean, of course, we got to read some listener emails. We got some good oopsies here. We had one that was pretty funny. This guy had a list of a few of them. This guy was a police officer, and it's kind of funny to hear stories from cops admitting that they fucked up. So the title of this email is Some Fuck Up Stories That I Can Finally Tell. Because I have a list of stories from when I was a cop in Louisiana that I can tell. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But here we go. He goes, you might get a kick out of hearing these. Number one, he goes, I took a prisoner that was faking a back injury to a hospital to get an x-ray. He escaped. We had to scour half the town to find him. That's great.
Boy, dude, it's funny. Back injuries are the ultimate get out of jail free card. Whether it's like you are supposed to run 3 miles for the soccer team today. Oh, my back hurts. Or literally, I'm in jail and my back hurts.
Right.
And I'm now escaping.
I know. People have sympathy for the back, or even like insurance settlements.
Yeah.
Dude, I heard someone close to me knew a person who faked an injury from getting into a car accident. And they said that the guy walked around limping for like a year because he was afraid that they were investigating him because he was full of shit.
Wow, that's some Kaiser Sose
right?
commitment.
Totally.
The ruse. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. And I've even heard of people getting caught on from social media, like in this modern era, like getting busted for insurance fraud. Anyway, okay. Number 2, when I was doing the mandatory ride-along training thing, I don't know what that is. Do you?
Yeah, it's like that movie Ride Along with Kevin Hart.
Oh, or like Training Day.
Sure. Yeah, that one's probably better because he was a cop too. I think I didn't even see Ride Along, but I get the idea. You go on these patrols before you can actually be part of the patrol.
Gotcha. Well, this is great because he goes, I thought I pulled over my aunt as a joke, which is a good joke, but ended up pulling over the sheriff's wife.
Uh-oh.
Oh, baby.
Oh, boy.
Something about doing something bad to the sheriff seems worse than like another
Totally, because you know that the sheriff is gonna ride his horse up to scold you. When you think of a sheriff, I mean, there's another term like orphan that just has connotations of old world, westerly. You know, a guy who takes his hat off and hangs it on a hook and hikes up his britches and says, "Well, all right, what do we got here?"
Or he shows up to a domestic dispute, like a domestic whatever call, and he knows the first names of everyone in the town.
Yeah,
like, Carly, you're gonna have to settle down. I'm gonna have to take you in this time.
Yeah, exactly. He's, he fixes a deal where the guy gets off if he paints his fucking porch.
Community service.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. This is great. A guy that was arrested for looting during Hurricane Katrina managed to escape because after I looked in on him as he was in the interview interrogation room to make sure that he was okay, I forgot to lock the door and he just walked out of the patrol center.
Oh my God.
We had to call on outside agencies to find him. Very expensive manhunt because the detectives thought he was linked to murders out of New Orleans. Jesus. He ended up not being, but I think they caught him eventually.
Yikes.
My second partner and I ended up having to fight a guy in a gray water, which is a trailer park used for sink and dishwasher water. That might be a joke. I don't know. After we caught him beating his wife, he pooped his pants after I sunk a textbook rear naked choke on him, but only after such a comedy of errors happened to me and only trying. Let's cut this last one, Chris.
Yeah, whoa. Wait, don't cut it. But holy shit. The first ones were like, guy walked out on me because I didn't lock the door and like pulled over the sheriff's wife. Oh no. And this one's like, I nearly killed a guy. He shit himself. Like, fuck that guy. Like, whoa. Whoa!
Whoa, buddy. All right, this is not the time for this. That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, I mean, hold on. I mean, that really is. I don't think we need to cut it because
Okay.
I think we can live with this. But yeah, holy cow!
Jesus.
Yo, by the way, have you seen the movie End of Watch with
No.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Let me look.
It's a really good movie, actually. It's shot kind of by handheld cameras in the vein of the Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
And
Found
it's on the
footage film.
streets of LA and shows sort of what it's like to be a cop in.
I have not seen it. It's cool though.
It's really good. Yeah, I've seen it a couple times. It's a really good movie. But at least in that movie, and I'm sure a lot of this is kind of Hollywoodized, they fight people. The cops like go into people's apartments and
Oh, wow.
and square up and have like these full on kind of UFC fights. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
And you wonder, because a lot of the cops that I've ever encountered, at least up here in Maine, I don't think could last very long in a UFC ring. You know what I mean?
Right. But even though, aren't they state troopers up there? They say state troopers are a little more intense than the average cop.
Is that right?
That's what they say around here. They call them stadies.
Yeah. Well, the stadies, aren't the stadies the guys that patrol? Fuck, I don't know, man. I don't know this stuff.
Well, dude, isn't it funny that if the likelihood that you have gotten in trouble with the law is much higher if you casually use nicknames for law enforcement?
Yes. Yeah, very true. Yeah. Or you their call signs or their routes. There were kids in high school I knew who I remember one time this older kid was driving me to soccer practice and he was on the soccer team and we passed a speed trap and then he was like, good, now we're in the clear. And he started going like 100. And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, we're in Scarborough. So if that cop is there, that means that there won't be another cop for another 6 miles. And he like knew the dispersion of cop cars.
Right. And you know what, dude? Teenagers with cars really makes me nervous. Like there were times where I was driving with friends who were doing the stupidest fucking shit. I was scared out of my mind. We easily could have died. Lots of kids did die. And it was such a pointless way to die that it makes me really profoundly sad. And it makes me not want to have children.
Wow. Well, that's a sad finale to that thought. Holy cow. I mean, my answer would have been teach your children well. I think it's a Neil Young song. Anyway, but my point being, dude, absolutely. We did some crazy shit. I was never leading it because I was always so afraid.
Damn.
But one time I went and saw these kids that I had met and we went to when you go away from the coasts in Maine and you go inland, you can start getting into a very different socioeconomic group. And I went and saw these kids that I'd met at a theater competition, weirdly. But these kids were kind of cool. I did some theater and I met these kids and I thought they were kind of cool. And we went to this place called Oxford, Maine. And it's known for its Oxford Plains Speedway. It's one of those dirt car racing tracks where they race cars that look like
rally.
Yeah, they've got weird shit. They drift.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
Those are sick.
Well, I was in the car with them and we were going out. We were probably 16, 17, and they're driving some beat up car. I'm in the back seat. We're going, I don't know, 40 or 50. One of the kids opens the window of the passenger seat, climbs out, and holds on to the roof while the guy continues to drive.
It's crazy.
Boogie boards the car. And they're hooting and hollering. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? In my mind, one of my best friends, his dad was the prominent personal injury attorney. And I'm thinking, well, even if I have that contact, I can't sue these kids because they're not going to be worth shit. Not to be an asshole. There's nothing for me to to gain here, you know? Hooligans.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. My friends used to drive on the opposite side of the road going really fast without being able to see around the corner.
That's just, I mean.
It's a death wish. It's insanity.
It's boredom is what it is.
Right.
Boredom.
No, totally. And that's why it's so funny. Like, we had this perception of the city as being this dangerous place coming from the country. I don't know about you guys.
Totally.
And in reality, when I look at both things, obviously both have their pros and cons, but at least city kids don't have to drive around.
They don't drink and drive. That was a huge problem in my high school.
Same.
You know, people used to say shit like, I'm really good at drinking and driving. I'm a really good drunk driver. They wore that proudly. They would assure you as we were leaving a party, you'd be like, yo, and I didn't do this much, but like, you'd ask the person driving, like, you good?
Right.
He'd be like, you know, he'd sort of smack himself in the face and be like, yeah, I'm really good at this, dude. I'm a good drinker. And then someone would like back him up. Be like, yeah, he's the best guy in the group for, you know.
Yeah, dude, I saw him slam a 30 rack and drive 2 hours. He's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, nobody is good at drinking and driving. What are you fucking talking about? Right.
Dude, totally. In a way, and this is maybe a stretch of a comparison, but it reminds me of free soloing. Like,
yeah.
When you climb like those rock mountain things without any carabiners or any ropes or anything. And even those guys, they're fucking experts. You know what I mean? But like one tiny wrong thing and you fucking fall and die.
Yeah.
Which is why you got to wear the rope. And I feel like it's the same thing. I guess that's a stretch of a comparison. But you know what I mean?
No, I know. I get it. And I think, you know, to your point of guys driving on the wrong side of the road at blind curves,
dude,
you're just an asshole because you're viable to hit a mother and her kids head on and ruin lives.
Yeah, dude, it's fucked up.
And I'm hoping that, you know, if boredom is the reason why teenagers seek those sorts of thrills and become numb to the danger that they're, you know, participating in, I don't know. Part of me hopes that like smartphones and Instagram and all that shit has actually made people less bored. I'd rather have my kids making stupid TikTok videos than doing that shit.
Dude, I'd rather have my kid. I would get my kids sex workers. I would do anything to make them not drive drunk. I'd be like, you want to get laid? I'll make a couple calls. You know what I mean? Like I do. Yeah. Like stupid deaths by stupid teenagers are a really sad thing, and
ruins a town. It really does.
It really does.
Oh God, that's sad.
All right. Well,
is there anything left in this email? Sorry.
Nothing less than this one, but we got another one that's pretty good.
Okay.
Some food for thought, if you will.
Yeah. Hungry.
He goes, this isn't an oops, but I would love to hear your nuanced discussion about how you would handle a woman that you're involved with telling you that they are bisexual. Just so we are clear, I'm a guy writing in. I've dated 2 women who came out as bisexual to me, which I don't know if you come out as bisexual. Are we calling it that? Whatever. At differing points in our respective relationships, and that made a huge difference in how I felt about it. The first was a woman who I had been dating for 2 years before she told me. I obviously had no judgments towards her or who she was attracted to, but having her say that as opposed to I hadn't been with women before filled me with insecurity. Something about hearing it so far into our relationship made me feel as though I wasn't enough for her. The feeling was almost as if she told me she had always been really attracted to one of my close friends, which I understand. I didn't know what I could do with this information other than think that she was willing to explore while we were dating. We ended things months later for unrelated reasons that just loomed over me because I was so jealous about it. The second woman is someone who I started seeing recently. She didn't label herself as bisexual, but early on she told me that she had hooked up with women before and could potentially date one. Once again, didn't care who she was attracted to, but since she told me early, it was a lot more comforting. We're currently 6 months into dating. I haven't really thought about it twice, and I can't tell if the temporal aspect is the differing factor here or not. The only reason I bring up the topic is that the responses I've gotten from people who have confided in about this have ranged dramatically. I've had someone call me biphobic. biphobic for not
Mhm.
letting my girlfriend of 2 years explore that side of herself, even though that's still cheating in my eyes. Absolutely. I've also had people say they would have dumped them immediately over that. Obviously, I've had the shitty friend who told me to parlay it into a threesome.
Yep.
He goes, "What's your guys' opinion? How would you feel? Even if it's not about sexuality, when would you like to know something important like that about your significant other?" There's a lot of good stuff in this.
Yeah, that last question is really interesting. So I don't know. Let's try to tackle this in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that, I like that he made the distinction about like the fact that she would be willing to date one. Because if a girl is like, I've made out with girls, that's like not
No.
something that's threatening necessarily. But if you're like dating women, I understand feeling threatened by that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How is it any different? You could lose your person that you're dating to another person. It doesn't matter what gender that person is.
Right.
If a
50% of
girl-
the population just became a potential risk.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if you are someone who doesn't want your boyfriend or girlfriend cheating on you, then whether they do it with a person of the same gender or the opposite gender doesn't really make a difference. I think men, there's this old kind of outdated stereotype where guys would say like, my girlfriend cheated on me with a chick, I just want to watch. It's like,
Right.
I
It's
don't,
so stupid.
I don't think so. I'm talking like you walk in on on your girlfriend hooking up with another girl. My feeling would be more of surprise mixed with confusion. Whereas if I walked in on her hooking up with another guy, I would be angry and feel betrayed. But in both cases, we have a problem.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's my, you know what I mean? I'm not like,
Absolutely.
well, carry on, do you need an extra hand? Are you missing a piece here? 'Cause I've got what you don't.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a potential opportunity when you walk in on
No.
that. Dude, I have lost partners to women before in like overt fashion, in the sense where like I was reading her texts. Like I wasn't reading her text, but I'd been calling my girlfriend because she was asleep. She fell asleep and she was supposed to let me into her apartment. So I called her like 20 times. And finally, I called the house phone. She woke up, whatever. She came and got me. And I looked at her phone to see how many times I called her. And I saw a text pop up that was like, don't do that. And I was like, what's the, and I sorry, obviously I have to read the text. And the text was like, I love her. Like, I need to tell her I love her.
Oh, wait, I'm confused.
Her
Who was sending that?
Her phone, she was having a conversation with somebody else saying that she needed to tell this girl that she loved her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. And
She's in love with someone else.
it's really a feeling that's like, it's like a very hopeless feeling, more so than if it was a guy. Because if it's a guy, you at least are like, well, and this is an unhealthy line of thinking, but you at least can be like, I can improve. I can become the guy she wants me to be. I can become. I can't
compete. You can compete with another man.
I think like maybe I can get to the point where I can compete with this new guy who she likes, like in my head, but I can't compete with a woman.
No, agreed. If the person you're with, right. Yes, exactly. That's fascinating. That's a really good point, right? Let's say that your girlfriend or the person you really like has equal feelings for you and another woman. How do you distinguish yourself from that other person without, one, seeming like a sexist asshole? I feel like everything you would point to as something you can do that she couldn't, and I know we've kind of talked about this before, but everything you could point to and say like, well, I can do this and she can't, and then is gonna be like sexist. Do you know what I mean?
Let's break it down.
Yeah.
I'm faster than her.
Can she squat 275? No. Like, does she know how to hunt? No.
Yeah, and she'll be like, well, do you have double D's? No. And you'll be like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. So we can't compete, but I don't know. I'm sure women would say the same thing, like maybe that they feel if they're competing for the woman you both like, they might say, well, I can't compete for her because I don't have what he has. Maybe.
Right.
But dude, to your point, I think this is more interesting of like, not so much worrying about losing the person that you're dating to a woman, but finding out that the person you're dating has dated women in the past. And we'll stick with that because I don't know much about girls who are dating guys who come out and say, I've dated other guys in the past. Meaning,
right. Yeah,
I mean?
This is just from the other way. Totally.
Let's just stick with this lane because I've also dated a girl who had been with women in the past. And I will say it was fun for me to ask her how those moments or those relationships started. Because she said that like one started at Whole Foods, that they just saw each other and they both thought the other person was like super beautiful. And it was almost like an instant,
oh, wow,
come home with me. Like I think they both came home with their own bags of groceries to the same apartment.
Wow, dude, that is a fucking porno narrative and a half. I
guess so, right?
Unbelievable. That's hot.
And I will say this, not to get too graphic here, but I asked, how was the sex? And I know I'm kind of playing into an obvious character here. And she said, I expected it to be very sensual, a lot of neck kissing, a lot of, all that stuff that you see in Hollywood kind of sex scenes between women. And she said it was like a lot of really intense fingering, which shocked me. She was like, it wasn't that great. It didn't feel that great.
Wait, she said that?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought that because in my head, I pictured intense fingering that was like really calculated and really skillful.
No.
Like,
I don't think it was that. I don't think it was
around,
dexterous fingering. I don't think there was a lot of like, different techniques and sign language going on. I think it was, she said it was basically a lot of like jabbing and jamming.
Right. And that's an important point to remember also, because this vision you have of your partner who's dated women being with women isn't the like thing that you necessarily think.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not this crazy, like, I mean, it might have been great, whatever, but it's not as crazy as you think it might have been.
Right.
You can compete with it more than you think.
They're not hooking up in a bathtub every single time.
Right.
There aren't rose petals on the bedspread. It's not some supportive, downy, like white cotton underpants thing every single time.
It's not that famous poster of the two girls in like
Bingo.
cotton underwear making out. Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking of. Exactly.
And every college wall in America.
Yeah. So it did not bother me at all that this girl had hooked up with girls in the past. But if she had started flirting with girls in front of me, I think I would have been a little bit more suspicious or nervous than I would have been had I not known about her dating women in the past.
Absolutely. Dude, now I'm gonna veer off for a second. I want to come back to his last question, but this reminded me of a very good story I have. So I was in a situation when I was a single guy. I was seeing this one girl, kind of, and then, but I had wanted to be seeing this other girl. I met this girl and I liked her, but then nothing really happened. And then a couple days later, I met this other girl, started talking to her. We started hanging out for a couple weeks. And then the girl number one comes back into the picture. So I end up spending some time with her too. And now I'm kind of like figuring out what I'm going to do. Okay. But these two girls were very good friends.
Oh God.
Which I didn't realize at first. So at one point they're staying, we're all out like on Long Island for the weekend. They're staying in a house together. They're both like texting me while they're sitting next to each other. And I'm
like, my God.
Christ, how do I get out of this? Listen to this. That night, they both took a bunch of mushrooms and they ended up having sex with each other.
Ah, yes. Yes.
So, dude, but it ended up coming down to a thing where like they found out that I was talking to both of them. They were not happy about it, and I think that they ended up having a falling out. And then one girl never kind of didn't talk to me for a few years, whatever. But so this is an interesting, but this is an interesting point of like it was so early on. I had just met them that this was so hot at the time. I was like, oh, this is awesome. It was a little intimidating, but it didn't like turn me off or make me intimidated. It made me want to like explore it more. Now, as I started to date the one girl, which ended up happening a few months down the road, it started to become a thing that was intimidating because she would use it as in such a way. And I think that that's a thing too.
Okay, give me an example.
So she would be like, she'd carry on about how hot like Ruby Rose was, or like, you know what I mean? Like these
Who's
famous.
Ruby Rose?
I think she was like she was in Orange is the New Black. And I think she's gay. Like,
okay.
I don't. So, and she would always talk about it, and then she'd talk about how she's so into girls, and she'd say destabilizing things that would make me insecure, and like to the point where I didn't even necessarily fully believe her. Like I almost felt like it was part of that was part of her thing, was to try to destabilize. But it brings up an important point. Like depending on where you're dealing with this in the relationship makes it worse or not that bad. And also how they approach it with you.
Right.
Like, she was using it to like make me insecure. Yeah.
I mean, that's a toxic relationship, no matter how you slice it.
Exactly.
If she were talking about men that she were attracted to, you would feel like, well, why are you preying upon my insecurity like this?
Right.
And I don't think it's any different. Maybe she just assumed that you were part of that male archetype that we talked about of being turned on by it or so titillated by it.
Totally. It's possible. And I think that that's a thing. That's definitely a thing. I think that she had tapped into the fact that it made me insecure, but maybe when she threw it out there as a feeler, she thought that I would be into it. I don't know. You might
maybe she just sounds like a really bad person. If we're honest,
she sucks. Sure.
Bad person. Dude, it's a great question. So what was the last question? Oh, really quick. By the way, I don't think that if you are in a relationship or starting a relationship with someone that you need to come clean about your dating history of people of the same sex.
100%.
Because we talked about like at what point, do you levy this information? It's not required background reading for,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like if you choose to share it, great. But if I were dating a girl and she'd hooked up with girls in the past and she never told me, it doesn't bother me. It's not my business.
Same. I think that's a very important statute to set early on because, dude, and we've talked about this before, but the whole like, okay, let's say every person we've slept with in the number, like that is such a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. And I think it's a question that gets asked by people when they're dating and they're younger.
Yeah, totally.
But once you get to a certain age, you should never ask that question anymore.
Agreed. But so that's a good point though, because I'm going to read the question again, but I think that was similar to what the question was. Now, you said that the fact that she had been with girls or whatever, you never need to know that.
Not really.
I don't either. I don't need to know anything. Mm-hmm. I'd rather not know anything.
Yeah.
But I would think that some people would argue that if it comes to like stuff with other genders or stuff that's unexpected, that maybe they would feel that they were privy to this information earlier on. Because as we saw on that show on Netflix, I forget what it was called, Love is Blind, when that guy told the girl he'd been with guys, she deaded it.
Yeah, I didn't watch that show, but I heard a lot about it.
All right. Well, anyway, the question.
So that girl couldn't handle the fact that he had been with guys?
He was like, I need to tell you that I've been with men before.
Yeah, see, I think, unfortunately, and I'm going to paint with very broad strokes here, I think women stigmatize that more than the other way around.
Right.
But it's kind of binary in that I think some women want that.
They want what? That
I've heard that there are women who get excited by the idea that the man they're dating has been with men before.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that too.
Whereas there are definitely other women who are like, well, you can't, that's just gay. You're just gay.
Right.
But I guess that's true of everything. Whatever.
So then, but because of like, in lieu of this discussion, if you don't tell something like that, like if you're a guy who's with guys, who's dated guys or whatever, and you don't tell your girlfriend that, or the other way around, like, are you hiding something? Are you being a liar? Or is it just fall under the umbrella of we don't need to talk about it?
I don't think it matters unless it matters.
Right.
And I mean, if you want that to become part of your relationship, whether that means, opening up the conversation to switching things around sexually, or seeing if your partner is open to including a person of that gender in your sex, or I guess maybe having your girlfriend put on a fake mustache or something. I don't know what it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
right, because that makes it a direct part of the conversation. So if Endeavor comes up or whatever, like, do you need to disclose this stuff?
I don't think so.
I don't
think so.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But dude, do you know anybody who like bring other people into the bedroom? Like, do you have friends in relationships who you know that about?
No, I don't.
I don't either. And it makes me wonder if like people who do that just kind of lay low and don't talk about it.
Yeah. I read Aziz Ansari's book, Modern Romance. Have you read that?
No, it's good.
Well, it's very good. It's very statistical. He does a ton of research, and there's a lot of graphs and analytics, and it's cool. But one of the things that stuck with me very much was that he ranked the countries where responders to his question said whether or not they would be okay if they found out that their partner was like cheating on them or had stepped out of the relationship or something.
Right.
And France was so far away, the place where people were like, yeah, no big deal.
That's crazy.
It was like, I hate to miscite the numbers, but it was almost like 50% of responders were like, yeah, that'd be fine. I don't care.
That's
and
amazing.
the next country was like America and Germany, where like 12% said that they wouldn't mind.
Interesting.
And you wonder, I've always wondered, does France have it figured out more? Is this a more modern interpretation of love? Are we moving towards a more open, fluid, way of thinking about commitment?
Interesting. Is it because like all the existential philosophy is just baked into their curriculum growing up?
Great question. Yeah. All those weird Descartes and
Sartre.
Yeah. I don't know, but I do wonder, because people say that monogamy is outdated. And you hear this more and more now. And, marriage is kind of an old-fashioned trope. And a lot of, especially like if you go to a Catholic wedding, a lot of the shit you hear about, you're like, this doesn't pertain anymore. I feel like I'm in King Arthur's court right now.
Right.
But, just a lot of these, like, especially when you look at the divorce rate and you look at all this shit and you wonder, like, well, maybe if people had been allowed to, I don't know, to be more open about their love life, would that marriage have been saved?
Right.
And there's this rigidity to it all. And I'm not advocating one way or another. I do like commitment. I do think it's possible. But I wonder if things in 50, 100 years, are we going to be more like France?
Dude, here's my only question about that. And that's, you bring up some great points. But what does the alternative to monogamy really look like? Like, I've never really seen it in any sort of mainstream way that isn't like very fringe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that's exactly right, because we picture an open relationship as like people going to swinger parties, putting their watch in a bowl and just matching up with someone else's wife for the night. And I don't
Right.
think it has to be that extreme. I don't
Right.
think just because you aren't hardcore monogamous means that you're some sort of like open, fun-loving hippie who's willing to just take it or give it to anyone, anywhere.
Right.
There may be some kind of middle road solution. I just don't know what that is.
Totally. And I would like to, encourage any of our listeners to send us any sort of story about an unconventional relationship that you have, or if you are bringing other people into the bedroom, or you and your partner are scouting, thirds for whatever. I would love to hear about this. This is always very interesting shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. What was the last point that guy made in his email?
I think you basically kind of covered it, but it was even if it's not about sexuality, when would you like to know something important like that about your significant other?
Yeah, I guess we did cover that.
And I think our answer is you maybe don't need to ever know.
No, that is my answer. Yeah.
That is my answer.
Yeah. Is there, you and I are both almost 2 years into our relationships now.
Yeah. We're amazingly on the same path, kind
Agreed.
of. Really crazy.
Is there something, and if you feel uncomfortable answering this, I apologize. Is there something that you could find out that your girlfriend could tell you right now about her sexual history that would cause you to end the relationship?
I mean, knowing her like I think I do, I can't imagine hearing any of the things that I would deem difficult to deal with.
Right.
The answer, without having to actually heard it out of her mouth, the answer is no. There's nothing that she could say of her sexual past that would make me end it.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, I don't think end the relationship.
Oh, dude, good. Thank you. Yes, there's things that could make for very big issues.
There are some things that I could hear that would make it very hard for me to have lunch. Where I'd be like, oh my God, really? And it definitely evokes gangbang scenes is sort of the first thing.
Of course.
Just total degradation of this person that I love and hold in such a pure light.
I know.
I mean, obviously I know we're all flawed, but like if I were to find out that my girlfriend years back, had a period where she was shooting homemade pornos with, the baseball team on a weekly basis.
Right.
I'd be like, oh my God, is that out there? Like what the fuck? That would be, multiple men, some of the crazy, just horrible shit you see in porn. That's sort of where my head goes.
Right. Well, dude, you know what? You could then, at least silver lining, you would have your hands on some child porn that you could then use to set people up. And it would be
What?
Remember, you always say you want to set people up by putting child porn on their computer.
Yeah, but hold on. I wasn't picturing that she was like 14 when she did this.
When I heard the baseball team, I just assumed high school.
Oh, you were thinking Little League. No, I was talking to college baseball.
Oh, okay, sorry, never mind. Oh, man, wow, we've really been going for a while today.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, no, then to your point, yeah, like anything illegal that she might have done would be cause for real reckoning.
Right. But then you're like, oh, well, she was also a kid. Like, it's hard to hold high school and college against people.
Bestiality would be really tough to overcome.
That's true.
Those are some of the really tough ones.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, geez, that opened up a whole new category of competition here.
Yeah.
She's like watching people banging horses when you're not around.
Dogs, whatever. I don't even want to think about it. This is too sick, but
it's not great.
No. Good. Please send us your thoughts. You know what's really sad to me, and I almost hesitate to even add this. I know someone who told me that if he found out that his girlfriend or wife had been with people of a different race,
Ooh,
that would be a deal breaker. And
Jesus.
it changed the way that I saw this person,
Wow.
that was a deal breaker for him.
Wow.
Because I had never heard anything about him having any sort of like distaste for that race.
Does he have distaste for that race?
You would have to say so if that's on his mind.
Right. Right.
But dude, I think there are a lot more people that feel the way I just like that this guy said. A lot more people have that thought than you'd think.
Definitely.
Who don't see themselves as racist.
Definitely. Definitely. And yeah, those people should get over it, but whatever.
Yeah, right. Ooh, boy,
Love it.
we waded into some quagmires there. That was a murky territory. I'm glad we came out.
Happy anniversary, babe.
Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts?
No, nothing. Just check out all our shit. Download the podcast, check out our YouTube, send us your messages, follow our Instagram.
Yeah, and definitely send us, please email us your thoughts on the bisexuality question or the sexual history, anything you could find out about your current partner that might really change the way that you see them. For now, send that to oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. For now, I'm Francis Ellis. He's Giulio Gallerati. We love you guys. Thanks so much.
If you like that video, check out our channel where we have way more videos. I just don't know how to do this. This is unbelievable. If you like that video, we have way more videos on our channel. Please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications if you want to know when there are new ones. But if not, check them out, and we appreciate it.
Oops.